I got good news today. California added over 100,000 residents in 2025. The state is actually growing again. But here's what that many headlines don't tell you. 53 of California's 73 large cities lost population in that same period while adding new housing. They built the apartments, they built the condos, and nobody came. Some of these cities are expensive, some are cheap, some are famous, but all of them share one thing. People are choosing not to move there. And that's a different problem than people leaving. When people leave, you can blame the economy or the cost. When people won't even show up, it means something deeper is broken. These are 10 of those cities. Number 10, Palmdale is in the Antelope Valley, about an hour north of LA in Los Angeles County. Population around 159,000. And it's been shrinking. The city has lost almost 6% of its population since the 2020 census. That's roughly 10,000 people gone in 5 years. And the decline is still happening at about 1% per year. Palmdale was supposed to be the answer for people who got priced out of LA. Drive an hour north, buy a house for half the price, commute back into the city for work. That was the pitch for years, and it worked for a while. People moved here in waves during the early 2000s, but then the reality set in. The commute from Palmdale to downtown LA is 60 miles on paper. In traffic, you're looking at 90 minutes to 2 hours each way, 5 days a week. That's 20 hours a week just sitting in your car. Some people did that math for a few years and then did different math. The math that says, I could move to Phoenix or Las Vegas and not commute at all. The heat is another thing nobody warns you about until you're living it. Summers regularly hit 105 to 110. This is high desert, not the beach. Winters get cold and windy, in a way that doesn't match anyone's idea of Southern California. The local economy depends heavily on aerospace and defense, with Edwards Air Force Base and Lower Grumman nearby. Outside of those sectors, job options thin out fast. Crime has been a growing concern, particularly property crime and vehicle theft. And culturally, there's just not much here. Chain restaurants, strip malls, and long stretches of empty desert between developments. The people who are leaving Palmdale are going to Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Texas. Some are moving back closer to LA and just accepting the higher rent because the commute wasn't worth the savings. And the people who would have moved here 5 years ago are now looking at those same alternatives from the start. Palmdale isn't collapsing, but it's no longer attracting anyone new. And for a city that was built on growth, that's a serious problem. Number 9, Long Beach might be the most surprising name on this list. At least it surprised me because I really love Long Beach. And it's the 7th largest city in California. Almost 500,000 people, a major port, a university, beaches, a downtown that's been through multiple rounds of revitalization. On paper, this should be a city people are moving to, not away from. But Long Beach had the biggest percentage population drop among California's 15 largest cities, around 8 in the most recent data. That doesn't sound like much until you realize it's almost 4,000 people gone from a single city in a single year. The issue with Long Beach is that it sits in this awkward middle zone. It's not cheap enough to be the affordable alternative to La. Median home prices are in the 700s. And it's not prestigious enough to compete with the beach cities to the south, like Huntington or Newport. So, it gets squeezed from both sides. People who want affordable leave for the Inland Empire or out of state. People who want upscale go south to Orange County. The port brings economic activity, but it also brings noise, truck traffic, and air quality concerns for the neighborhoods near the waterfront industrial areas. Crime varies dramatically by neighborhood. Downtown and Belmont Shore are genuinely nice, but other parts of the city, particularly some areas of North and West Long Beach, have persistent crime and infrastructure issues that drag the city's overall perception down. The city has been trying hard to attract new residents. There's been real investment in downtown. The waterfront has improved. The food scene is legitimately good. But the data says that for right now, more people are choosing to leave Long Beach than move in. And the competition from surrounding cities that offer either better prices or better prestige is making it hard to reverse that trend. Long Beach isn't dying, it's stalling. And for a city with this much potential, stalling might be worse. And guys, if you like my videos and want to support a Californian content creator, please subscribe. It really matters a lot for me. Alright, let's move on. Number 8. San Francisco. According to the latest 2025 state data, San Francisco lost over 3,300 residents, the biggest numeric population drop of any city in the entire state, and the city is still down about 30,000 people from its pre-pandemic peak. That's not a blip. That's a structural shift. The story of San Francisco's decline has been told 1,000 times, but it's worth summarizing because the numbers keep getting worse, even as a narrative claims recovery. About a third of downtown commercial real estate is still vacant. Nearly 40 retail stores around Union Square closed between 2020 and 2023. Major employers in tech have gone remote or hybrid, which means the workers who used to fill those downtown offices and spend money in those restaurants and shops are now doing that from Sacramento, Austin, Boise, or their living room. The median home price in San Francisco is still over $1 million. Rent for a one-bedroom averages over $3,000. Those numbers have softened slightly from the peak, but they're still among the highest in the country, and for a lot of people, the value proposition has broken. When you're paying San Francisco prices, you expect San Francisco quality of life. And for many residents, the quality of life hasn't matched the cost in recent years. The city has a unique problem that most other entries on this list don't have. It's not that San Francisco is cheap and nobody wants it. It's that San Francisco is expensive and people are choosing to pay less for something similar elsewhere. The weather is still incredible. The food is still world-class. The culture is still deep, but none of that matters if you can't afford to stay or if you can afford it but don't feel like you're getting your money's worth. Rents have started ticking up slightly in 2025, which some see as a sign that demand is coming back. Maybe, but the Department of Finance data shows the population still dropping. And until those two trends align, San Francisco stayed on this list. The city isn't dead, but the idea that everyone wants to live in San Francisco isn't true anymore either. Number 7. San Jose is the third largest city in California. Over 1 million people, capital of Silicon Valley. The kind of place you'd expect to have a wait list to get into. Not a population problem, but according to the latest 2025 state estimates, San Jose lost about 2,500 residents, and the trend has been consistent. The city is down over 15,000 people from its 2020 peak and still hasn't turned it around. The reason is pretty straightforward when you look at the numbers. San Jose is one of the most expensive cities in the United States. Median home price is over $1.4 million. Average rent for a one-bedroom is around $2,800, and the incomes here are high, but not high enough for a lot of people to keep up. A household earning $150,000 a year in San Jose is basically middle class. That number sounds absurd to most of the country, but that's the reality here. And the thing about tech workers making $200,000 or $300,000 is that they figured out they can make almost the same money working remotely from Austin, Denver, Raleigh, or Boise. When the pandemic proved that remote work was viable, San Jose lost its biggest advantage. You used to have to be here physically to work at Apple or Google or Cisco. Now you don't, or at least not 5 days a week. The cost of living gap between San Jose and places like Salt Lake City or Phoenix is so wide that even a modest pay cut for going remote still leaves you ahead financially. Housing is the biggest factor, but it's not the only one. The commute within Silicon Valley is brutal, even for short distances. Highway 101 and Interstate 280 are parking lots during rush hour. The city itself, despite its size, feels weirdly suburban. There's no real walkable downtown core, or the way you'd expect from a city this big. Santana Row and the revitalized DGG area are nice, but they feel like islands surrounded by miles of single-family neighborhoods and office parks. Violent crime has also been creeping up. Catalytic converter theft became so rampant that it made national news. Car break-ins and package theft are practically expected at this point. None of this means San Jose is a bad city, but the value equation has shifted. People who can afford San Jose increasingly choose not to, and people who can't afford it never had a choice to begin. Number 6. Vallejo has been on a losing streak for a long time. The city filed for bankruptcy in 2008 and it's never fully recovered. Population has been declining and it lost over 1,000 residents in the most recent data, which is significant for a city of about 120,000. Vallejo's original selling point was that it was the affordable entry into the San Francisco Bay Area. just across the Carolina Strait, connected to the rest of the bay by Interstate 80. And home prices that were a fraction of what you'd pay in San Francisco or Oakland. That pitch worked for a while. People moved here in the 9s and 2000s looking for that Bay Area address at an inland price, but the bankruptcy changed everything. When Vallejo went broke, police staffing was cut dramatically. At one point, the department was running at about half its recommended size. Crime went up, response times went up. Violent crime rates in Vallejo have consistently been among the highest in the Bay Area ever since. The city has been trying to rebuild its police force for years, but recruitment has been an ongoing struggle. The downtown has some nice touches. The waterfront along Mar Island Strait has potential, and there's been some development there. But large parts of the city still feel neglected. Infrastructure is aging. Roads in some neighborhoods are in rough shape. The school system struggles with funding and performance. The irony is that Vallejo's homes are still relatively affordable for the Bay Area. You can find houses in the 300s and 402nd. But people are increasingly asking whether the Bay Area label is worth it when the Bay Area experience you're getting is Vallejo's version of it. The competition from Sacramento, which has better job growth, or Fairfield, which is quieter and more suburban, or just leaving the Bay entirely, is pulling away the exact people Vallejo needs. Families looking for something affordable and safe are finding those two things hard to get in the same package. Number 5. Oakland's population decline has been one of the most dramatic in the state. The city has lost over 25,000 residents since the 2020 census. That's more than 5% of its total population gone in about 5 years, and the pace isn't slowing down. The latest 2025 state data shows Oakland lost around 2,800 people in a single year. For a decade, Oakland was the comeback story of the Bay Area. Artists and creatives moved in when San Francisco got too expensive. Restaurants opened. Neighborhoods like Temescal, Rockridge, and Jack London Square became legitimately cool. Home prices rose because demand was real. People wanted to be in Oakland. That narrative has completely reversed. The turning point was a combination of rising crime, the pandemic, and the series of high-profile business closures that made national news. In-N-Out Burger closing its first location ever because of crime. That was in Oakland. Denny's leaving Jack London Square. Multiple businesses on College Avenue shuttering after repeated break-ins. Those stories created a perception problem that's been almost impossible to shake. The data backs it up too. Oakland's violent crime rate is consistently among the highest of any major California city. Carjacking surged to levels that made Oakland a punchline on national news. And while property crime exists everywhere in the Bay Area, Oakland's numbers are particularly bad. Vehicle theft and burglary rates are some of the highest in the country. The city's budget has been in crisis mode. In 2024, Oakland faced a $250 million shortfall that led to cuts in everything from parks to libraries to fire services. The police department has struggled with staffing shortages. When you can't fund basic services, it's hard to make the case that people should move here. Oakland still has incredible food. The diversity is genuine and deep. Lake Merritt on a sunny day is one of the most beautiful urban settings in California. The weather is better than San Francisco's, but none of those things outweigh the safety concerns and service cuts for most people making a moving decision in 2026. The people who loved Oakland are mourning what it was, and the people who might have moved here are choosing Richmond, Hayward, or just leaving the Bay altogether. Number 4. Milpitas is a city of about 80,000 people tucked between San Jose and Fremont in the heart of Silicon Valley. It's right next to the 680 and 880 freeways. Great access to tech jobs, close to everything, and people are leaving. The city lost population in the most recent estimates, and the trend line has been flat to negative for a few years now. On paper, Milpitas should be one of the most desirable suburbs in the Bay Area. It's got a BART station that opened in 2020. Connecting it directly to San Francisco, the Great Mall is one of the biggest shopping centers in the South Bay. Schools rank well. The demographics skew heavily toward tech professionals and their families. So, what's the problem? The same one that hits every Silicon Valley suburb. Cost. Median home price in Milpitas is over $1.3 million. A basic 3-bedroom house that would cost $350,000 in most of the country goes for $1.2 million here. And unlike San Francisco or even San Jose, Militis doesn't have the cultural draw to justify premium pricing for most people. There's no iconic neighborhood, no famous restaurant row, no waterfront. It's a nice suburb with good schools and a BART station, and that's about it. The smell used to be a bigger issue. For decades, Milpitas was known for the odor from the Newbie Island landfill that would drift over the city on warm days. That's been mostly addressed through mitigation, but the reputation lingered for years and probably cost us city residents who might have moved there. The bigger issue now is that the tech workers who would have bought here are either going remote and leaving the Bay entirely or choosing cities with more character. Why pay $1.3 million for a house in Milpas when you could pay a third of that in Boise and still work for the same company? The math just doesn't work for a lot of people anymore. Militis isn't declining dramatically. It's more like it's stalled. New housing is being built, but the people aren't showing up to fill it the way they used to. For a city whose entire identity is built around being a convenient place to live near tech jobs, losing that pull is a real problem. Number 3, Redwood City's motto is Climate Best by Government Test. It's printed on a big neon sign downtown. And honestly, the weather is great. Sunny more often than San Francisco, milder than San Jose, close to the coast. The downtown has been revitalized with restaurants and a movie theater and a courthouse square that actually feels like a town center, but Redwood City is losing residents, and the numbers tell an interesting story about what's happening in the Mid-Peninsula. The city has about 84,000 people, and it's been gradually declining since the pandemic. The issue is almost entirely about cost versus what you get. Redwood City sits on the peninsula between San Francisco and San Jose. This is some of the most expensive real estate in the world. Median home prices here hover around $1.7 million. Rent for a 2-bedroom apartment averages over $3,500 a month. At those prices, you're competing with Palo Alto and Menlo Park, which have Stanford and the venture capital ecosystem and decades of prestige. Redwood City has always been the slightly more affordable option on the peninsula, the place where teachers and firefighters and mid-level tech workers could live and still be close to their jobs. But affordable on the peninsula now means $1.7 million for a house. That's not affordable by any normal definition. The people who used to settle in Redwood City are now doing what everyone else in the Bay is doing, looking south to Gilroy or Morgan Hill, looking east to Tracy or Manteca, or just leaving California entirely. The city has approved a lot of new housing, particularly along El Camino Royale and near the Cow train station. Dense mixed-use developments that look nice in renderings. But building more housing at peninsula prices doesn't solve the fundamental problem. If people can't afford what you're building, the units sit empty or attract people who could also afford to live somewhere nicer. Redwood City is a pleasant place. Nobody would argue that. But pleasant and $1.7 million is a tough sell when the world has changed the way it has. The people who need to be on the peninsula are getting fewer every year, and the ones who don't need to be are finding better deals everywhere else. Number 2. Moraga is a small affluent town in the East Bay Hills. Population about 16,000, it's in Contra Costa County. Nestled between Lafayette and Orinda in an area locals call La Merenda. If you've never heard of it, you're not alone. Most Californians outside the East Bay haven't, and increasingly, even people in the East Bay aren't considering it. Moraga have been losing population steadily. The town is down about 7% from its peak, which is a significant drop for a place this small. That's over a residents gone from a community that only had 16,000 to begin with. The appeal of Moraga was always clear: excellent schools in the Akalani Union High School District, which is one of the best in the state. Safe streets, beautiful rolling hills. A quiet suburban feel that's only 20 minutes from Oakland and 30 from San Francisco through the Calicut Tunnel. St. Mary's College gives the town a small campus atmosphere, but Moraga has a demographic problem that's hard to fix. The town was built for families with school-aged children. Big houses on big lots with good schools. The people who moved here in the 80s and 92nds raised their kids, and those kids left for college and never came back. Now you have aging homeowners in large houses that young families can't afford. Median home price in Moraga is over $1.5 million. Entry-level homes, if you can even find one, start around $1 million. For a young family making good money, that's a huge bet on a town with one grocery store, very few restaurants, and almost no nightlife. The town basically shuts down at 8 o'clock p.m. There's also a geographic isolation factor. Moraga sits in a valley surrounded by hills. There's essentially one road in and one road out, Moraga Road, which connects to Lafayette and the freeway. During the fire season, this becomes a genuine safety concern. Evacuation routes are limited and the surrounding hills are covered in dry grass. Some families have left specifically because of wildfire risk after watching what happened in Paradise and other foothill communities. The town isn't replacing the families that leave, older residents aging in place. Younger buyers choosing Lafayette or Walnut Creek where there's more to do. Moraga is slowly getting smaller and quieter, and nobody seems to be in a rush to change that. Number 1. Antioch is the number 1 city on this list because it represents something specific. It's a city that people moved to in huge numbers, and then those same people told everyone else not to follow them. Antioch sits at the eastern edge of Contra Costa County, right where the Bay Area meets the Delta. Population around 115,000, and it's been declining. The city lost over 1,000 residents in the most recent data, and the trajectory has been downward for several years. The story of Antioch is a story of the Bay Area affordability crisis compressed into a single city. In the 2000s, when San Francisco and Oakland prices were climbing, people looked east. Way east, Antioch offered brand new housing developments with actual yards for prices that seem reasonable compared to the core Bay Area. Families moved here by the thousands. Subdivisions went up fast. For a few years, it felt like Antioch was booming. Then the 2008 recession hit and Antioch was one of the hardest hit cities in the entire country. Foreclosure rates were devastating. Entire streets had multiple abandoned homes. The population that had moved in for affordable housing suddenly found themselves underwater on mortgages for houses worth half what they paid. The city never fully recovered from that. Crime has been a persistent issue. Antioch made national headlines in 2023 when a Dodge investigation revealed that police officers had been sending racist and homophobic text messages. The scandal led to a major restructuring of the department and destroyed what little public trust existed. Home prices in Antioch are lower than most of the Bay Area. You can find houses in the 400s and 500s, but the commute kills the deal. Getting from Antioch to San Francisco by car during rush hour is easily 90 minutes to 2 hours. BART's Antioch station helps some, but it's still a long ride, and the station is at the edge of town, so you're driving to BART anyway. The BART extension uses diesel trains that are slower than regular BART. Summers in Antioch are hot. Not Palmdale hot, but regularly in the high 90 seconds and low 100 seconds. The Delta breeze helps some afternoons, but July and August are genuinely uncomfortable if you're coming from the coast. The city has been trying to revitalize its downtown and waterfront along the San Joaquin River. There's potential there, but the combination of distance, crime perception, the police scandal, and competition from cheaper cities outside California entirely has made Antioch the place that people are most actively avoiding in 2026. When someone in the Bay Area says they need something affordable, Antioch is a city that friends and co-workers warn them about. That's a hard reputation to shake. And until something fundamental changes, Antioch stays at number 1. Those are 10 California cities that people just aren't moving to anymore. Some are too expensive for what they offer. Some have safety concerns that outweigh the savings, and some just lost whatever spark was drawing people in the first place. California is still one of the most desirable states in the country, but not every city in California benefits from that. If you're thinking about moving to the Golden State, these are the places to research carefully before signing a lease. And if you found this useful, subscribe because we cover California like this every week. We'll see you in the next one.